Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Let the filibustering begin.
Welcome to Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to Filibuster here at the Nerd Party Network. Our 12th day of podcast interviews and coverage from the 2018 Edinburgh International Film Festival continues, and I'm excited to bring you this interview today. Hearts Beat Loud received its UK premiere last night, and it's a movie that's just so wonderful and reduced me and fellow bloggers at the press and industry screening to tears. I'm joined by its director and co-writer, Brett Haley, to talk about the making of this feel-good movie. A little bit about the movie. Nick Offerman, everyone's favourite actor, delights as a young at heart about to sell his Brooklyn record shop, just as his daughter is heading to college in California to study medicine. The pair make great music together, but when he wants to practice, she wants to study. But one night after a jam session, they become an internet sensation after a song they record goes viral. I hope you'll enjoy your interview, and be sure to check out this movie. You'll love it. It's bound to top many people's top film of the year list. Enjoy the interview. I just want to thank you so much for talking with me and bringing your film here at the festival. I saw it yesterday, and I went in. I try and go and be surprised by the movies. You know, I remember reading the programme and went, Nick Offerman, musical. Okay, that's enough for me.
Yeah, sure.
Went into it, and I came out. You know, I felt emotional. I almost felt like I just floated out of the cinema. And it was like you know what these press and industry screenings are like, so straight-faced. Yeah. You know, 5 movies a day. There's people just like wiping the tears, and I was like, when I tell the director this tomorrow, he's gonna be like, oh, I've heard that bullshit before and stuff like that. But I was like, one of the guys went, I'm interviewing as well. I was like, right, we'll tag team. If he doesn't believe me, you can back me up.
Well, that's very nice to hear. I mean, it's definitely why, you know, definitely the idea of the movie was to create those kind of emotions. It's a feeling. People call it a feel-good movie, and I think what they mean is they're just feeling a lot. And feeling anything these days other than just dread and misery is a good thing.
Absolutely. So how do you go around, like, because I was so curious of like how this came to become like a movie and how it all kind of structures together. Is like, do you write a script and then you just leave a generic insert song here, and then someone comes in, right? What's the process for writing this script to kind of filming a script?
Well, we knew we were going to have at least, you know, 3 or 4, and in some versions of the script, 5 original songs. And it was tough to kind of figure out how the songs did. We wanted to make sure that they were doing narrative lifting, that they weren't just songs that were there to be cool songs, but rather they were moving the story along, or character's journey along. And so we just worked hand in hand with Keegan DeWitt, who wrote all the songs and did the score, and said, look, how can we, you know, so it was a back and forth. Sometimes we knew what song was going to go there because it was already done, and other times it was insert song here, and then talking with Keegan about this is what we need this song to do.
So like when I first heard that Hearts Beat Loud song, like blown away, and I was thinking like, you know, I can't wait, it better be on Spotify when I get out of the cinema. And there was a nervous thing, I typed it in, like the first 5 hits were some random things, and it was like scroll down, original soundtrack.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you kind of first heard that song completed for the first time and knowing this could be the kind of heart piece of your movie?
Well, it's amazing to hear Kiersey sing it. You know, I've heard Keegan sing it, you know, in demos or in the older version of the song or whatever. You know, and then when Kiersey sings it, you go, whoa. Like, things are nothing against Keegan. He's an amazing vocalist as well, but there's something about having it be that pop song and that female, you know, it was really special. And Kiersey did all the vocals in the film are live. So the version you'll hear on Spotify or whatever is a studio version. And the version that you hear 2 different versions in the movie that are different, that are live. You know, she's actually singing.
And with like that, like I was totally unfamiliar with Kiersey when I watched the movie, and I was like, looked up and I was like, oh, I recognize her from bits and pieces. Yeah. What was the casting process to find someone like that? Because I can imagine it's so difficult to find someone that's the perfect fit for...
It was difficult. And I'd just known about Kiersey, and I've always wanted to work with her. I think she's super talented. And then I did some research, and I found out she could sing. And I dove deep and was like, oh yeah, she's like an actual, she can like really sing. so I just had a feeling about it, and I talked to Nick, and I said, look, I'm going to make her the offer. So it wasn't an audition at all. It was like a gut call
and
on my part.
And it's totally paid off as well, because like, you can almost see this movie being the one that just opens her up to
yeah,
the world.
I think so. I hope so. I mean, I think she's about to become famous regardless of or she is famous, but getting bigger and bigger regardless of this movie. But I do think you can see her true talents on display here.
Because it was so great to see Sacha Lane in a movie as again, like American Honey was one of my favourite films of that year.
Yeah.
And then I think she popped up in one other role since that caught my attention. It's like, when this was like, oh, brilliant, she's back in this as well.
Yeah.
It was like difficult filling all these different kind of, the supporting roles. You've got people like Sacha Lane, Ted Danson, Toni Collette.
No, it wasn't. Everybody, I think, wanted to be a part of the positivity surrounding this film and just being on. I mean, Sasha told me, like, this is the first movie I've gotten to do where nothing bad happens to me. Or something really tragic. Like, she's like, I just get to fall in love and kind of be sweet and real, and I think they both really, I think, related to what was happening on screen and the reality of it.
Did you have to give Ted Danson much direction for working behind a bar?
You actually do. He's not a natural, and people think that he would be, but he's not.
Probably thought that was going to be an Easy Days directing, and then it's like, no.
It was a little more, it was a little bit more of that than I thought. But Ted he's such a gentleman and such a great guy.
And then kind of with like, there was one thing I was curious as well, like I always, especially for a director like you, I always think nothing's by accident, everything's by design. It's like the record shop. How did you go around picking all the different vinyls that are there in the background, the music that's playing? Was it like making the perfect mixtape for you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was sort of like a mix of what can you afford, because, you have to get the right to show these records. And obviously the song is playing, that's incredibly expensive. Yeah. I don't care if it's even an unknown song. The money it's a lot. And this is a very small film. So it was a challenge. It was like sort of figuring out, well, what can I put in the movie that we can afford, but that also means something to me, to the characters, to the movie. So it was like, it was something that I took. I obviously had help, but it was really my vision of what would be in this. And I remember, like, I think we cleared like the Universal music catalog, and my production designer just said, look, here are the albums we can show, which ones do you want up? And I was like, Rain Dogs and Billie Holiday and Pet Sounds, and like I just picked kind of my favorites and put them up there, and I so yeah, nothing is there by like, oh, whatever.
With like, obviously this is your most recent film with Nick Offerman, and it sounds like you two kind of collaborated together there when you were talking about casting Kiersey. What was it like working with Nick Offerman again? And it's one of those ones, it's amazing again to see him as the leading man in a movie, not the sidekick or the comedy role that plays in. Like, he has got all the leading man potential. He
does. I mean, he can kind of do it all, I think. And I really enjoyed working with Nick on The Hero, and I just got a great energy and vibe from being around him, and so we wrote this part with him in mind and hoping that he would do it. And he agreed and kind of jumped on board and helped us with a lot of different things. Like, he was really the reason we got Ted Danson to be in the film, because they're friends. Like, he made the Jeff Tweedy cameo happen. Like, he really puts his money where his mouth is and supported the film when we needed his support. And he's been a great, proponent for the film on social media and stuff. And, that's what you're kind of looking for. But he's also just an incredibly gifted actor that I think people take for granted. They take him for granted because he's Ron Swanson. Yeah. And they forget that Ron Swanson is a creation. That's not who Nick is. Nick created this incredibly memorable character. Along with the Parks and Rec writing staff. They created this character that will live forever and is iconic. But that's not who Nick is. No. That's not the sum of his parts. He can do so much more, and I hope that people see this film and see that.
Especially if you watch like a stand-up comedy, like when the idea of like, oh, he's in a musical or he's doing music, it's like, well, that's no surprise if you see his, or you can put a tune together.
Absolutely.
And what was it kind of like with the with like going into a movie like this? What kind of movies did you sort of draw from? Because there's been in the past few years, there's been some really successful small movies, for example, like Once, Sing Street, that have been about kind of bands and have been so successful. And other times it's almost cliched trope ones that you see. I've seen this sort of one before.
Right.
What were the ones that you sort of looked at as the movies that might inspire you? And
well, I mean, I think Carney is an obvious, he really excels in this genre. Mm-hmm. He's sort of like the master of this genre. And so while inspired by his work, I didn't want to copy his work. I didn't want to try to go where he went with his films. And I think Sing Street and Once in particular are so great. And I didn't want to kind of tread in those similar territories. And I think he's got a great sort of romantic center to all of his. There's like a romance element. Yeah. So we wanted to take it into a family dynamic more than it was a romance. But I think the other movies that really inspired the film were High Fidelity, That Thing You Do, a Japanese film called Linda, and Inside Llewyn Davis.
And do you think with something like High Fidelity very much felt like a movie of certain people's generations, and now we're seeing people making movies where it's been inspired by that sort of even dialogue and use of music, do you now see that we'll see more filmmakers inspired by those kind of 90s, early 2000 movies?
I hope so. I mean, I think they don't make them like that much anymore, and I enjoy those types of films. I miss studio movies from the 90s. I do. Like, I love a good Field of Dreams or High Fidelity. Like, these are studio movies, which seems crazy. Like those are indie movies now. So I do miss the days of the $20 to $50 million adult studio movie. And I think in some ways my movies are that. In another world, they would be a studio film. But because studios don't often make films like this anymore, they're indies. They're even smaller than they should be.
Was there much nerves from the studios about this kind of movie and investing in it, or were they blown away by the script?
Well, no studio invested in this movie, so.
But that must have been frustrating. So why would they not invest in a movie kind of like this? What was their sort of feedback to that?
I don't know. I think if you're not based on a famous book, comic book, or whatever, novel, it's got to be some kind of IP.
Yeah. Do you think that's why we're looking at those movies or those other things, studios would put money at it? They would
when was the last time it's like in what was it, 99 or whatever, when The Matrix came out? It's like The Matrix was on TV the other day, and I was like, that's crazy that they threw a bunch of money at an original idea.
And was that kind of nervous for you then, without that studio backing, going out and making this movie?
No, it's all I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's my fourth time doing it. I'm used to this. I'm used to going out and spending people's money and getting their money back.
Right. And
so every time I've been able to get their money back and then some. I've made a lot of people, I've been able to take a small amount of money, make a movie that feels hopefully bigger than what it was made for, and give my investors their money back and then some. So it's what I'm used to. I'm not used to studios embracing what I'm putting out. Maybe one day they will, and that would be great. But you got to just keep making what you love.
Because I was wondering as well with this movie, and it seems to be a kind of recurrent trend here in the film festival. There's so many great movies here that are showcasing representation, whether it's on the camera, behind the camera. We've had blind directors here. We've had females writing leads for female lead actors. And it was what I loved most about this movie was it's the use of race, and that it's just it's a father with a mixed race daughter, and that's perfect. And it's there's no story behind that, and it's just accepted. And on top of that, it's a character that could be bisexual, lesbian, who knows. And that's exciting. Was there any sort of, how did that kind of come around, that idea? Was that something that was originally in the script, or was it just blind casting?
It was always in the script that she would be what mix, what race was open. We were looking at a lot of different things to begin with. But when we found Kiersey, it was sort of that's our girl, and we're going to go in that direction. So we then sort of leaned into that. But it was always never going to be mentioned, never going to be an issue. We had versions of the script where we did talk about it in the script. And we thought, it's more powerful to just let it be and not make it sort of we felt there was power in just allowing it to breathe and allowing it to be represented as it is without being a plot point, without being focused on.
Because it's like that great line that Frank has where it's like, you got a boyfriend,
Yeah.
you got a girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's like in other movies that would have been the big moment and stuff like that, whereas here it's like, that's life. And that's what
and he says girlfriend first, which I think is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Do you have a new girlfriend?" And then she's like kind of ignoring him, and he's like, "Boyfriend," and that's a weirder. So it shows that not only does he know that they've had this conversation, it also shows that he's open to whatever decision she might make, and then that she's allowed to date anyone she wants to date, and that there would be no judgment waiting for her. That's just refreshing. There are obviously parents like this, and there are kids that live like this, but it's also nice to put it out there without it being the big plot point of the movie, just that it's there so that people can say, wow, it feels good, but it also maybe does represent, I think, where we're going.
Do you think that would have been one of those ones if it had studio backing, there would have maybe made more conversations
Probably.
about that and the characters?
Well, there's a lot of need for faux conflict, right? Faux external conflict.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the landlady should have, ulterior motives. And the dad should be upset when he finds out his daughter's dating another woman. Well, we're not making that movie.
And it was one of those ones, sometimes you think you've been conditioned with studio thing on, I bet they're going to get a big Spotify royalty check just as they're closing the thing. It's like, nope, that's it.
Yeah, there's all those tropes that you're expecting from the movie are just sitting there waiting, and we just don't go there. We just simply allow it to feel organic and real and grounded, and there's still a lot of conflict in the film. The film is all about conflict and letting go and change and all of the things that come with this journey we call life.
And obviously it's the UK premiere tonight, and I see it's rolling out, and I think it's this weekend, it's rolling out in so many American cities. I've already said to some of my friends in our group chat, like, go see this, go see this, go see this.
Great.
What's been the reaction from people that have seen it, that have come out and spoke with you and shared their thoughts on social?
It's been overwhelming, at least when you just look at the Twitter feed. It's been really lovely to just see, and I try to interact. I'm not much of a social media person, but I've been trying to interact online with people and say thank you for coming out. You and I had a little interaction yesterday, and it's like, I love to see that. I love to see people coming out of the movie and saying, this movie moved me, and it made me feel good, and it made me feel things, and thank you for the queer representation. Thank you for this representation. So it means a lot to have people respond to your movie in the way that they have been. And it seems like this is a movie that came out amongst superheroes and dinosaurs and all these big movies that are great and people want to see. I have nothing against those movies, and I think people should go see them. But I think then people are saying, oh, but also there's this other little movie you should go see. So I think there's this word of mouth and this buzz kind of slowly building around our movie. People are discovering the songs, discovering it. So I hope that we have a long summer ahead of us, and I'm obviously extremely excited to be getting my first proper international release.
Absolutely. And then what will be next for the film? Will it be going kind of around the world? And
yeah, I mean, on August 3rd, I know it's coming out in like 20 or 30 cinemas in the UK. Something like that. So that's great. And then, it's going to be in Asia. It's going to be in Latin America. It's going to be in the Netherlands. It's going to be kind of all Mexico. It's going to be all over the world. And I think that's incredible that this movie will have sort of a life beyond America or North America. I've never had that before. Well, and I think that speaks to the power of music.
Absolutely. And that seems the perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for talking with me, and thank you so much for the film. I don't think I'm going to shut up about it for the next few months. And if it doesn't get nominated for an Oscar for comedy, let alone drama, there'll be I'll be a letter writing campaign.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I try not to think about all that stuff and just hope that the movie finds an audience and keeps kind of trucking along.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate
it, man. Nice to meet you, man. Yeah.
Okay. Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.
Welcome to Nerd Party.